I'm able to generate enough money to cover some of my day-to-day living expenses and also some of my transport expenses. Hi everyone, I'm Kuching, 23 this year, and I'm an undergraduate studying political science in NUS. So before VIA, the only investing which I do basically just I just put a lump sum of money into robo-advisors. It's very scary to start investing just like that. There's no way to guide you. I always knew I need to invest. It's always been at the back of my mind, but in the past I didn't know where to find the resources to learn about investing. So initially I was quite skeptical because the investment industry, there's a lot of scams. But once I attended the masterclass, once Cayden introduced the concept of value investing, it really clicked for me. I find it to be really logical, and I can also feel like Cayden wants to imbibe the knowledge to you. My main goal is just to generate enough income from investment whereby I can be able to not worry about my finances and do things which are meaningful to me. And also inflation is also quite high right now, so I think it's better to invest to keep up with inflation. So I enrolled in VIA in late March this year. Basically the most valuable lesson I learned was how to evaluate what is a good business and what is a bad business. Looking at the annual reports, etc. It really helped a lot. It gives me peace of mind that I'm investing in good companies, good businesses. Once I start seeing stocks as being part of a business rather than just a ticker symbol over there, it really changed my mindset. Now I know that being a stock owner is being part owner of a business. This is something which I find to be very logical. So using the cash flow option strategy which Cayden taught us, I'm able to generate enough money to cover some of the expenses, some of my day-to-day living expenses and also some of my transport expenses. So as for the money which I use for investing, most of it comes from the part-time jobs which I do. Part-time usher at the University Cultural Centre, but the pay is $12 per hour. Also from my NS, the savings from my NS time. Basically for my part-time job, I try to put 60% of the money I earn into investments. So during the program, Cayden taught us how to build a well-rounded portfolio. So basically my portfolio consists of around 60% in stocks, 20% in ETFs and 20% in cash. So the reason why most of it is concentrated in stocks is because right now, because I'm a student, I have more time to evaluate and search for good companies to invest in, and moreover my time horizon is also much more longer. So it's important to build a well-rounded portfolio so that if the market is not doing well, then there may be some of your assets which are still able to pull up your portfolio. For example, during a bear market, although stocks may not be doing so well, bonds may help to prop up your portfolio. So my tips for those who want to start investing is to join this VIA program, because it's very difficult and almost impossible for you to learn investing through just online means alone.
Hi, this is Cayden from VIA Value Investing Academy. Now, thanks for joining another session of our YouTube Live this evening. So before I get started, I think I could see about 50 plus people watching this. So let me just put up my slide into the full mode. Yeah, full mode. Okay. Now, I just want to double check, are you able to hear me, right? For those people who are watching via YouTube Live, and are you able to see my slide just in case? Yeah. Okay, if you can you just type 1 now? I'll just proceed right while you type, because there will always be a delay when you type, and then I see it on the YouTube chat. So let's get started. But before that, if you look at the first slide over here, it's actually by one of our grad, and his name is called Kuching. Just to let you know that Kuching is still an undergrad, should be in his early 20s, right? I think by the time he reached my age, maybe 25, 26 years more. Yeah, so it's always important for us to start investing as early as possible, because money requires time to compound. And then for people like Kuching, they got 25 years to compound. So that is going to be a lot of time, and subsequently is going to have a lot of money. Yeah, which is why it's very important for us to start young. So time is very important. But of course, other than time, there are also 2 key preparations for us, right, to invest in addition to time. First one, if we start as early as we can, we also need to know what to do, what not to do. Now, this slide may look very familiar because I've been repeating for the past many sessions on YouTube Live. So having the knowledge is very important. If you buy the wrong thing, also die. Yeah. So the second thing is we also need to have cash to do it. I think for Hao Ching's case, because he's an undergrad, he didn't really have much cash, so he can. If you watch the video, he did share that he became an usherer, I think, in the NUS Cultural Center, and then he made like maybe $10+ per hour. So he's also accumulating some money and then invest. So I think he also shared in his video that some of the passive income that he has could be used to pay off some of his like transport expenses, food expenses, maybe you want to buy some books and so on. So initially for Hao Ching, it may not be a lot, but over time, it's going to be substantial. So the key thing is not to worry about, hey, is my capital big or small? I think the key thing is to get started. Get started as early as you can, right? And in our previous YouTube video, I've shared a diagram that said that, Hao Ching, remember, he's a student, and then he worked as an usher to generate some income. So for people like us, after you graduated from poly, diploma, whatever, we usually get ourselves a role, right, in the organization. So I think the role will give us some form of cash flow, right? And of course, the most important thing is how we deploy the cash flow. So in a Singapore's context, a portion of our salary, we have no choice, it goes to CPF. And then after that, the rest, we use to pay bills. And right now, I think bills are getting more and more expensive because of the inflation. And I think just this afternoon, I saw this T-bills, right? I think it went up, the most recent T-bills, I think it went up to like, what, 4%, 4.1%. Yeah, something like that. Wow, so people talk about T-bills. But if you talk about 5 years ago, nobody talk about T-bills. Yeah, T-bills, So even if it's T-bills is around 4%, inflation is at 5%, may not be enough. But it's okay, it's better than nothing, right? And then, of course, some people may consider putting the bank's interest, and then bank also right now, very competitive. They offer different packages. If you put a salary here, if you put in 100K, has higher interest and so on. And then SGS bonds, Singapore saving bonds become very popular. Treasury bills, like I said, become very popular. I think I need to update this. So this one strike off, I should put like 4.1%, right? Yeah, so if you look at this diagram, I think all the various options that are shown here, it could reduce inflation by a bit. 5.1 minus 3%, 4%, a bit. But if you want to beat inflation, right, I think it's not enough, which is why I leave some space over here. Actually, I want to put a question mark over here. So in our previous YouTube Live, we talked about, let's say, Singapore government security bonds. Yeah, so this one, Hillary did most of the work, and then we talk about T-bills. Yeah, so every now and then, the interest rate will change a bit. So if you want to understand more about T-bills, you want to understand more about SGS bonds, right? Yeah, you can always visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Value Investing Academy. Yeah, and then in case you forget about the URL, right? Maybe I put the QR code here. Yeah, so I just need a help. In the next couple of seconds, just take out a phone and then just scan this. Just scan this very quickly. A message will pop out, and then just click subscribe. So by subscribing to our channel, you will be the first to be informed of any updates of any investing instruments that we do research on. Yeah, versus how should I say? Versus that you're not informed, and then you don't know a lot of things and so on. So this channel is really very important, very educational, and a lot of materials are. We spend a lot of effort, especially Hillary, doing a lot of work, and then the team of video editors like Susie, producer, and then Irfan is doing a lot of work over here. So the most important thing is once you subscribe, you will be the first to be notified whenever we upload any important and relevant information. Oh, by the way, John was asking, can he be slightly louder? Oh, I realized that the microphone is here. No wonder it's a bit soft, right? Yeah, it's okay. So is it better right now? Yeah, is it better, huh? So yeah, so let me just click on. Yep, that's why I asked to do a sound check, right? Okay, so let's get started, right? So just now we talked about the different sort of instruments. Ultimately, we need to ask ourselves what kind of lifestyle do we want? Yeah, so if you're happy where you are right now, I think the T-bills, bonds, all this will work. But if you wanted more, right, we just need to seek out for more. Now, so I think previously we already done all the bills, the bonds, and so on. So let's talk about individual companies. Now, if you look at this picture, it shows the after the entrance to our Singapore airport. And I think all of you would know that right now Singapore's borders has been completely open. And then if you look at the news dated 4th October 2022, right, here it says that Singapore's Changi Airport flights to exceed 80%. This is a pre-pandemic, right? Pre-pandemic level by year end. So it seems to be good news. Good news. And then I think a couple of months ago, I wanted to buy air tickets to Japan, and I realized that the air ticket is really expensive. I think easily go up by, I think, about 30%. Even the hotel that I wanted to book is very expensive. Yeah, so I suppose high demand, that's why it's more expensive, right? And then here it says, also pretty latest, 5th October, or 3rd October 2022, Changi Airport average weekly passenger reaches 60% of the pre-COVID level in the first week of Sept. So right now it's October. I'm just guessing by the end of this year, right? Reflected by this, I think it could be the pre-pandemic level, right? Pre-pandemic level. So now the question is, if passengers, average weekly passenger traffic increases, right? And then by the end of this year, we're going to reach like the norm, the pre-pandemic level. So now the question is, where are the opportunities? What are the companies that could benefit from this reversion, right, to the pre-pandemic level? So the first thing that people come to our mind, it could be SIA. The reason why is, I think yesterday I was reading one article, I think on Business Time, it talks about the SIA share price go up by 10 cents or something like that. Yeah, so this afternoon I was just very curious, tracking the price, not the value, the price of SIA, and I realized that during the this period, October 2020, which is a pandemic year, right? Because, pandemic year, we're still in a lockdown, phase 1 and so on. And then until this afternoon, I realized that the share price has went up by 177%. Yeah, but this is just looking at hindsight, right? I don't think anyone can buy here. I don't think anyone will be so intelligent enough to sell here. Yeah, but this is just to shed that the perception of the stock market is, hey, it seems that it's recovering. Must as well I jump in and then buy Singapore Airlines stock. Now, so if the price of what investors pay for Singapore Airlines, right, the business of Singapore Airlines goes up by 177%, I would presume that the profit at this point to this point, right, it should increase by also 177%. Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't make sense, right, for you to pay 177% more, right, while their profit didn't go up by 177%, which means that if the profit didn't go up by this amount and people pay for this amount, they could have overpaid. Yeah, so let's look at the numbers and see whether does this justify paying 177%, right, for SIA. Okay, so let's look at the revenue over here. Now, let's go back to here. Just take note of this date, 30th October 2020, right? So if I come back to here, 30th October, I suppose October is here. Yeah, October, and then here is 2020, right? Yeah. So this is actually the revenue. This is not the profit, the revenue, right? Revenue, huh? So you can see here when this part is the recession, right? And then the pandemic came, the revenue dropped, understandable. So I think the small little good news is the revenue has recovered substantially from here to here, right? But remember, if you watch our previous video, revenue is vanity. So we need to check, revenue has recovered. So did the profit recover? But before we talk about profit, let me show you the latest report, right, by SIA. It's actually one of their PDF file, at the SGX website. So here it talks about the group revenue in terms of millions of dollars. This is Sing dollars. I think for those people who bought SIA stock, I think the good news is here, right, they indicated that Singapore fully open borders and then the revenue has gone up. So remember how the revenue has gone up, right, which is by this 58%. But whether profit goes up, that's another thing. Okay, so just take note. Then the next one, you talk about the profit because profit is sanity, right? So take note that this dotted line is 0. Here is losing money, understandable. So here lose money, understandable. But it appears that here is still losing money, but it's losing lesser. So here is losing a negative $4 billion. Yeah, here is losing negative about $1 billion. Yeah, so I think it's losing lesser and lesser, right? So the most recent quarter, did SIA make money or not? So remember, profit is sanity, right? So this is the most recent quarter, which is quite fresh, right? So you can see all along it was negative. Yeah, this is negative. You can see there's a negative sign here, right? And then here it turned positive. Yeah, but remember, this is not the entire year. This is the most recent quarter. Yeah, so the SIA did become profitable again. Yeah, so whether end of this year when everything is how should I say, right, goes to the pre-pandemic level, whether it goes much more, we do not know. But of course, the question is, will it go up by like 117%, so that your money that you used to buy SIA is well spent. You didn't overpay for it, huh? So this is SIA. Yep. So at least for those people who bought SIA stock, congratulations. But for me, I'm not so interested in SIA stocks. Yeah. So if for those people, if let's say you prefer to buy SIA ticket but not SIA stocks, so what other companies that you can focus on, right, that could benefit from this recovery? Now, so tonight we are not going to talk about SIA because previously we have said before, right? But tonight we're going to talk about one company that is in the aviation industry that is called Sept. Yeah, Sept, right? So in short, this is what Sept does for a living. Later on, Hilary will give more detail, right? I think roughly we will know that Sept is ground handling, all those luggages and so on, huh? But remember, it also offers food distribution. This one not many people know, as well as logistics, industrial catering, and so on. Whole lots of other things. So in other words, other than airline who will benefit from the opening of the borders, Sept, right, theoretically it should, because somebody has to handle, right, the luggages and food, all this, with the increase in the passenger activity. But interestingly, even though the passenger activity goes up, but the price goes the other way. Oh, so in other words, if the value goes up and the price comes down, right, then quickly it may appear that the company may be mispriced. Yeah, mispriced. So is there an opportunity for this company when there's a negative 43% drop, while at least from the perception, all other things appears to go up? But Hilary will give you more details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over the airtime to Hilary as usual. She will do all the heavy lifting. Now, for me, I'm going to share about the disclaimer as usual. So remember, even though Hilary is going to give you some details about the Sept, right, just take note, in no event whether me or her are liable to any one of you in case you go and buy all that stuff, right? For any damages of any kind arising out of the use of any content shared this evening. This whole thing, I don't want to read. So remember, neither My Kinesis Investments or VIA nor me and Hilary are operated or affiliated by any broker or licensed financial advisor. So in other words, we are not licensed by MAS. Yeah, so we cannot say, hey, buy this, recommend this. So remember, neither VIA nor me and Hilary makes any representation or warranty, right, to the completeness or accuracy of any of the information shared in the case study. So you still have to do your homework. So with that, I'm going to hand over my airtime to Hilary, and Hilary is going to go deep dive to talk about whether is it a good time to buy Sept tonight. Not tonight, maybe tomorrow. Okay, so with that, over to Hilary. Thanks.
Hi, good evening everyone. This is Hilary here. So tonight we'll be sharing about what Sept is and whether Sept is a good company for us to consider as a stock opportunity. So without further ado, we will get into it. So the first thing is that Sept has actually announced that they are acquiring this company, Worldwide Flight Services, to become one of the largest air cargo handler in the world. So what is an air cargo? Air cargo is actually you buy products, like for example, you go Taobao to purchase the products from China. Since the product is from China, how are they going to bring it into Singapore? So this is where air cargo comes in, where they deliver the product from China to Singapore via air cargo. So Sept has actually announced to acquire WFS to become the largest air cargo handler. So what do you mean by largest? So you can see that Sept is mainly covered in the Asian and Middle East area, but by acquiring WFS, they are actually expanding their operations to US, Europe, Latin America, and also some parts of Southern America. So you can see that it's actually expanding their operation worldwide to become one of the largest global air cargo handler. However, when they announced it, the next few days, Sept's share actually tumbled 21%. So you can see that the share price on 27 September is about $3.87. But then when they announced it on 28 September, the share price just went down. And until the day when we are doing the research on 18 October, it's about 43% down. And the latest share price for Sept is about $2.63, so it's roughly about 40–50% down from their last high on 27 September. Since that Sept is expanding their operation, which should be a good thing, but why is the share price actually dropped after this acquisition announcement? So other than that, some of the analysts actually put Sept as under review, and even Temasek Fullerton Fund Management actually sell off 1.8 million of Sept shares. So actually, what actually happened about this? So with that, tonight we will further deep dive into Sept's company to see whether is the dip a really good opportunity or something we should avoid. Okay, so first off, Sept is actually an acronym for the name Singapore Airport Terminal Services, and it's one of Asia's leading airport service provider because they control about 80% of Changi Airport's ground handling and also catering services. So ground handling, as you can see from the photo, it's actually on the ground area of the airport where they load, unload luggages or put in in-flight catering services. And it's actually established as a subsidiary of SIA in 1972. And in 2010, they actually acquired TFK Corporation, which is another in-flight caterer in Japan. And the ticket symbol on SGX exchange is S58. Okay, so currently their geographical presence is that they are available over 60 locations in 14 countries where they provide food solutions in certain areas, gateway services, and some of the locations they actually provided both services, which is food solutions and also gate services. So what are the products and services that they provide? So their business segment is mainly made out of two. The first one is food solutions, and then the second one is gateway services. So right now we will further deep dive on what are the services that is provided by Sept. So for food solutions, they have aviation catering, private jet catering, which is only available in Seletar Airport, not Changi Airport, and also commercial catering, where one of their clients is Singapore Sports Hub, and they cater food for sporting and premium events. And also institutional catering, which they provide food catering for healthcare, educational, and also government agencies. And they also distribute food service throughout Singapore, where they actually own some subsidiaries such as Country Food, Monty Bakehouse, and also frozen food products. And surprisingly, when I was doing the research, they also have services in linen and laundry, where they help to wash the clothes, uniforms for certain companies. Even healthcare and hospitality sectors also cater to their services. Okay, so right now we have a quick look at who are their clients under this business segment. So for aviation catering, these are the airlines that employed Sept to help them to prepare their in-flight food. And for institutional catering, these are the institutions and also government agencies that hired Sept to prepare their canteen food. Okay, so right now for gateway services, there are two types. The first one we'll look at is aviation. So whenever we go to airport, we wanted to check in, there's a kind lady to help us to register our passport. So they are providing this kind of passenger services. And also definitely private jet services, also in Seletar Airport. And also for those low-cost air flight like Scoot, Air Asia, they also help them to handle their flights. And apron services, when I first saw this word, it's like apron. When we thought of apron, it's like when we go to the kitchen, we have to wear the apron. But here the apron is actually referring to the people who handles our luggages and also help to clean the aircraft whenever they landed in the airport. And air cargo, which transport goods, and also security services. So these are the services that is provided under the aviation. And for gateway services, they also have services that are non-aviation related, which is cruise terminal services. That means that whenever there's passengers who arrive in Singapore via cruise, and then on the same day, they need to take a flight, Sept actually provide them to have an early check-in and also collection of boarding pass services, which is a convenience for the cruise passengers to transfer from cruise to taking the flights from Changi Airport. And it's actually operating in Marina Bay Cruise Centre, Singapore. And for travel retail, they are actually providing consultation services and also retail sales training to their clients, mainly for the low-cost air carrier. So some of the services are such as help them to plan some on-board menu for food and beverages, duty-free logistics supports, account servicing, digital innovation. So for this, when I was doing the research, they are actually explaining as last time when we wanted to order food, we have some physical menu, right? So currently they are making it into a digital innovation by providing a digital menu so that the passengers can actually use their phone to read through the menu or maybe some in-flight shopping catalog as well. So an example is actually under Scoot Hub. And also crew management is actually referring to the sales training provided to their clients. Okay, so how does SATS actually generate their revenue, or where does the revenue actually comes from? So in FY21 and 22, they actually generated about 1.5 million Sing dollar. So from 1.5 billion. So their business are coming from mainly two parts, which is food services and also gateway services. And during FY21 and 22, about 55% of the business comes from food solutions. And in terms of geographical revenue, about 85% comes from Singapore, and the second largest is actually from Japan. Okay, so in their latest quarter result, they generated about 375 million Sing dollars, and almost, because currently the borders are starting to open up, so half of the revenue is coming from food solution and the other half is actually coming from gateway services. And in terms of geographical revenue, 80% still comes from Singapore, and the second largest is actually coming from Greater China. Okay, so right now we'll jump into how does their numbers look like, because from what we see, it's kind of like they are providing a lot of services, so maybe the numbers will look good. So first off, for the revenue, so we see that since the pandemic hits, the revenue have a sharp drop between 2020 and 2021. But then when the borders are starting to open up, the revenue has slowly recovered, as we can see here. Yep, similar to SIA. And then for the net income is actually the profit and loss that the company makes. So that means you take all of the revenue minus off all of the expenses, that will result in either a profit or a loss. So here is the break-even line. So we can see that the net income has the similar trend as revenue, which they have a sharp plunge in 2021, but then the next year is starting to become positive. So whether does this trend continues is something that we as investors should continue to monitor. Okay, so next we will look at their operating cash flow. So operating cash flow is actually the cash flow generated from their normal business activities. So when the number is positive, it means that they are cash flowing in from their businesses. But if it's negative, it means that the company is actually bleeding money. Okay, so we see that since 2019 and also at the start of the pandemic, the company is actually having declining trend of the cash flow. So it means that the company is actually spending a lot of cash flow to keep the business running. And next, we will look at free cash flow. So the free cash flow is actually referring to you minus off the capital expenditure from their operating cash flow. So a capital expenditure is actually the expenses used to purchase assets that last more than 12 months. As we can see that here is the zero line, and the free cash flow is also dropping downwards. And based on the latest financial year report, it's actually in the negative. So should this trend continues and unable to generate more cash flow from their businesses, then SATS will be having certain crises regarding their cash flow. Okay, then we will also look at how is their debt level, because since their cash flow is not bringing in money from their businesses, how are they going to sustain their business? So based on value investing methodology, debt to equity ratio should be less than 0.5, which means that for every $100 of the equity, the company cannot borrow more than $50 of debt. So here is the line that we look at, And based on what we see, currently the debt to equity ratio is actually below 0.5. So that means that SETS currently is able to manage their debt at the moment. Okay, so to conclude it all, SETS is actually Asia's leading airport service provider, and they offer a wide range of aviation and non-aviation services. And they operate over 60 locations worldwide. However, their financial fundamentals are severely impacted during COVID-19, and the cash flow is actually currently in the downward trend. But because since the borders are opening, maybe the situation will improve. But this is something that we will need to further monitor before we decided whether now is the time to buy during the dip. So with that, we have done a quick deep dive on SETS, and I will pass back to Cayden. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So maybe what I'll do is I'll spend some time talking about the dip in the share price. Now, remember, right, SETS did an acquisition. Yeah, acquisition. So the acquisition of a separate firm, right? So just take note, usually, this is not, how should I say, it doesn't take place all the time, but usually when a bigger company acquire a smaller company, now the share price, right, generally for the big company would drop, which is reflected by here. Yeah. So now the question is why would the share price of a big company drop when SETS acquire another company? Now, the general, okay, so before I continue, I think we need to appreciate that most people who buy stocks, usually they don't really understand what's happening, and then the moment they hear some news that appears to be bad, or at least this company is spending money, right, which sounds bad, they will quickly dump their stocks. Yeah, so my assumption is when SETS acquire the next company, SETS need to pay to acquire the company, need to pay. So when SETS pays money, right, yeah, it always sounds like a bad news. So I'm paying money, I'm not making money, right? Making money, usually share price go up, and then if I pay money, usually the share price will drop. Yeah, so that is generally the case. Yeah, so by the way, just to let you know that Hillary spent quite a bit of time on a weekly basis to look at companies where A acquired B, and that is usually the case. Out of 100%, maybe 90% of the time, the big company will have a share price where it will drop to various degrees. So the reason why it drops, again, because SETS acquire another company, spend money, perception, bad. Yeah, that's why the share price drop. And remember, right, when the share price drop, it simply means that people are selling away the stocks. Yeah, so this one of the reason why the share price drop. So now the only question that's left is, since SETS, now remember this is my perception, right? I cannot predict the future. So since SETS has acquired another company, remember, right, they are taking all their businesses, the revenue and so on, right? So theoretically, if the merger is being done properly, yeah, everything is done smoothly, I would expect over time the revenue should go up. And if the merger, right, is again done properly, ideally, right, the profit should also go up. Yeah, profit should go up. Yeah, so provided everything is done properly. But as of now, it's quite hard to say. Yeah, it's quite hard to say. Would it be done properly and it goes up by how much? Yeah, so of course, we didn't go into the detail, right, looking into the revenue of this company. And then if we add up the revenue, and then if we add up the profit, yeah, is it worthwhile? Yeah. But assuming that even if we add up, there's a bit of uncertainty, right? Yeah, the uncertainty is what? The uncertainty is when we said that by end of this year, the passengers' activity were most likely, we use word like most likely, we can say guarantee. Most likely will recover to the pre-pandemic level. So remember, there's a component of question mark. So we are not very sure, right? Yeah, not very sure. That means it either recover or you don't. So now the question is, at this point, do we want to make a choice whether we want to invest in this company or not using our hard-earned money at this point? Or even if you are interested, should we want to wait until maybe end of this year? Or should we wait until next year where all the merger is being done properly? Yeah, revenue added, profit added, right? Yeah, to see whether is it worthwhile. Yeah, so here we are not very sure, huh? And just now, right, remember this diagram is very similar to SIA, huh? Because they're all correlated with the passenger activity, right? So if you look at this one, the profit, remember, luckily profit, it goes back up. Whether this one will go back to this level, wow, it's really a question mark. And whether at this point, right, do you want to take a bet to buy the stocks? Yeah, because there's certain level of uncertainty, right? So that is the profit here, huh? Then the next one, even though the debt, right, is like Hillary is saying 0.5, but you may notice that the debt has increased, right? Now, whether over time, now when the debt increases, what does it mean? When the debt increases, here we're talking about long-term debt, right? So it's like a HDB loan. If you take more and more HDB loan, condo loan, whatever, you are expected to pay interest. Yeah, so if the debt goes up, the interest payment, right, will also go up. But their profit just recovered, right, to a positive. Then some of this profit eventually has to be used to pay off the interest. Yeah, and then we are still also not very sure after the merger is complete, what's the debt over the other side? Yeah, is the debt really high? So we are not sure. So again, the question we need to ask is, at this point, with that amount of uncertainty, right, merger, what is going to happen, whether end of this year, next year, would it really recover the pre-pandemic level is still a question mark. Here, as of this point, right, tonight, there's only a small sign of recovery. So the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves is this. Every time when we do a case study, we have to make a judgment call. Okay, huh? So I just need a help, right? So here there are 3 baskets, right? Yeah. So the question you need to ask, which is tonight, right? Yeah. Don't talk about end of this year or next year. Tonight, if you look at the information that we have shared with you preliminary, do you think SIA as of tonight, do you think is it a low risk, high return investment if you press buy? Or do you think Sept is a high risk, right, high return investment if you press buy today? Or do you think Sept as of today, right, not the future, is a high risk, low return investment? Yeah, so I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Is there a poll? Yeah, there's going to be a poll that's posted in the chat box, right? So what I need to do is you just need to click on the poll, right? And then we will share the poll results. Yeah, but remember, right, investing is not a popularity contest, but at least you get to hear other people's opinion, right? Yeah, so just 5 seconds, you choose either A, B, or C. The poll would have been posted in the chat. Yeah, so Daryl say B, right? High risk, high return. Yeah, okay. So remember, this opinion this is not a fact, right? And then opinion cannot be a monopoly, right? Yeah. So you see, oh, Daryl say B. Does it make sense? Yeah. Later I'll just share with you my thoughts. Yeah. So remember, even my thoughts are just based on the information at hand, right? Yeah. Okay, just 3 more seconds, and then we will post the poll result. So tonight we are not going to stretch our time. Okay. So let's look at the poll result, and I'm going to write on my slide, right? High risk, low return is 46%. And then low risk, high return is 30%. And then high risk, high return is 23%. Okay, so what does it mean, right? Now, let me share with you how I will toss the ball. I don't think as of today, not in the future, that Sept is a low risk, high return. I don't think so. Remember, it's opinion, right? Doesn't mean that I'm right. I don't think so. That which also means that the Sept has to either belong to B or C. And it doesn't matter what the percentage here says. I think the most important thing is if it's a high risk, high return and a high risk, low return, right? People such as Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger wouldn't do it. Now remember, right, they wouldn't do it, and whether you do it, it's up to you, It's up to you, Yep. So if I find it also very difficult among basket B and C. If I'm die, I need to choose one. I also find it quite difficult. Yeah, quite difficult. But for me, I think I'm too old to have too much excitement, right? Yeah. So I think I always go for this. Yeah, go for A. So I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it's A, right? Yeah. So if SETS is not the one, then it appears that for SIA, I think SIA also is SIA a low risk, high return. Wow, I also find it very difficult. So even for SIA, I also find that I don't think it's in basket A. So most likely it's in B or C. So tonight, when people jump in to buy aviation-related companies such as SIA, such as SETS, we have to be very careful. It has to be basket A. If it's not basket A, don't do it. So as of now, it appears that it could be B or C. B or C, right? So I let you decide whether, is it something, okay, Chin Seng says C. I let you decide whether, do you want to pursue SETS, do you want to pursue SIA, but bear in mind that the basket that is being displayed here, right, is only for tonight. Now, 6 months down the road, year end, right? Year end, who knows? The passenger activity, if it recovers to the pre-pandemic, the revenue and the profit may recover. Then the merger of SETS, everything will have stabilized. So at that point of time, if you want, you can always make a judgment call. You can pull out this 3 basket again and ask yourself whether it's A, B, and C. But of course, people may argue that by the time comes, the share price will have gone up. I mean, what to do? Yeah, what to do, right? Yeah, what to do, So you want to do it now? Do it later. The risk level is quite different, right? Okay, so that's why I let you decide, So before I continue, let's come back to here. Now, so we always want to go back to that diagram, which is shown here, right? So remember, our role is as much as we can, we want to buy something low risk, high return. And when we say high return, it should be high enough to beat this inflation. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so SIA, okay, I let you decide. I think it's a basket B and basket C. So SETS, again, is a basket A, basket C. So remember, if you got it wrong, not only it may not beat inflation, that it may lose money. Yeah, and then right now, I think there's a 3 more COVID variant. I think it's XBB, and then right now there's another two variant that's imported. Yeah, so I think the only good news is still not deadly, right? Yeah, but in future, it's really hard to say. Yeah, whether you want to play this game that relates to COVID, okay, or do you want to do something that whether COVID, no COVID, the company still bring business to you. Yeah, which is why we have to go back to the slide. It's very important that we need to know what to do and what not to do. Yeah, so remember, tonight we show you the 3 basket, right? Take note of this 3 basket, and every time before you press buy, whether it's a US company or Singapore company, you always ask yourself, is it a low risk, high return? Is it a high risk, low return, or high risk, high return? Yeah, then of course you will know what to do and what not to do. Yeah, then of course you will not lose money. Yeah. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to ask my colleague to play a very short video. Now this video is about one of our grad. Her name is called Monica. Monica, I think, got to know about VIA, I would say, way before the pandemic. So just to share with you some quick background in the video, she also talked about it. Now the quick background is Monica, I think, is middle age. She's a single mom. Yeah, and because she's a single mom, I think her responsibility is also pretty heavy because she has to work. She has to work, and she'll take care of her son. She got 1 kid, and her son is in primary school. Yeah, primary school. So of course, being a single mom, you take care of her son. She also want to do well financially, so that one day maybe she could have another extra stream of income, right, which I've shown over here. Yeah, there could be inflation and so on. So eventually, I think it's by chance that she attended one of our master class, and then she decided to embark on this journey with us so that she learned the structure, right, that what Hillary is talking about. So maybe I'll just need my colleagues' help to just play a very short video about Monica. So here it goes.
The feeling that you have when you work because you want to, not because you need to, is priceless. Hi, I'm Monica, and this is my 100,000 milestone story. I started investing right after I finished the course with VIA. After a few months, I started to earn more than my full-time job. And then I'm already planning for my retirement. Early one. Investing changed everything in my life. Look at this place. I mean, like, seriously, I never even thought that I could stay in some places like this. My previous house, okay, I mean, like, it's a home, right? But you always have a dream to be better, to live better. And with investing, it just accelerates the process. The reason why I end up with investing is because I think freedom is very important. Freedom to be able to choose where, what you want to do, where you want to go, without having to worry, oh, how much do I have left, or whether I have enough for education, for my son, or for what, you know. I always wanted to do something for myself, apart from just the 9 to 5. I guess the saying's really true that when the students are ready, the teacher will appear. So I guess I was at the right place at the right time, and when I do research or Google about VIA and Cayden, yeah. I think the most valuable lesson I learned, actually I already sold when Cayden shared about CFOS during the masterclass. But then apart from it, the entire 4 days course really equip us with not just knowledge, but the mindset of never lose money in the first place. I think some people think that investment is like scary, or learning how to it's difficult. For my case, I have no background in investment, accounting, no knowledge. I love numbers, only numbers with the dollar signs in front. And the basic I know is only you buy low, sell high. I mean, even my 12-year-old son knows how to do it. Like, seriously, I was a noob. And I want people to know that it can be very simple. Even having a full-time job, being employed, single mother, juggling with home and work, and I still can do this, then I think anyone can do it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Now, while you're watching the video, right, I was doing some quick check on the company that eventually, right, actually has been acquired already, right? Acquired by Sept. Now, if you look at this screenshot over here, I just let my colleague show the screenshot. Right? You can see as of this time, right, which is dated 28 Sept 2022, worldwide flight services to be acquired by Sept are not yet to create the preeminent global air cargo handling platform. So initially, I wanted to do a quick check whether is this a, how should I say, is this a public listed company? Because for any public listed company, we can see their financial statement. Unfortunately, it's not. Yeah, it's not. And I don't think I can see their financials anywhere. Yeah, so what does this mean? Let me just go back to the slide, right? Let me just go back to this slide. Yeah, okay, I already share screen already, yeah? So I just make sure that my colleague has put the screen. Yeah, so what does it mean, right? It simply means that the Sept eventually is going to pay 1.64 billion, right, to buy this WFS. Yeah, WFS. And because we cannot see the financials of this WFS, we wouldn't know whether is this $1.6 billion deal, is it worth it? Because you do not know how much profit is this WFS is generating. So that means in real life, what I will do is I want to see whether can I dig out some financials about this and whether is it worth the deal. Yeah, whether worth the deal. Now, so now if I pay 1.64 billion, what do I get in return? And if I get something in return, like so-called, how many years does it take for me to break even? Yeah, because I paid this huge amount, right? Yeah, and then you may notice that the debt is increases. I'm also not very sure whether the Sept increase their debt, right, to buy this air cargo. So a lot of question marks. So, but one thing's for sure, I don't think it's a basket A lah. Yeah. Then when you read analyst information, for example, written by this Lim Hui Jie, right, nothing personal against him, right. We have to be very careful, huh? So you cannot buy stock just by listening to somebody else. Yeah, because it's your money, it's not somebody else's money, right? So you cannot say, or people say don't buy, or people say buy, just follow the instruction. Because I'm quite sure if Hui Jie write other articles, he recommend a buy or whatever, right? I don't think he may be allowed to buy the company that he recommended. So be very careful, because their job is just to write. Their job is not to like say I buy, you also buy, that kind of thing. And this Temasek Fullerton Fund Management, I'm also not very familiar with this. When they dispose this 1.8 million share, what does it mean? Yeah, so you realize there's a lot of uncertainty, right? So in investing, we want certainty. Yeah, because predictable profit will result in predictable share price. Yeah, predictable profit, predictable share price. So this one, wow, not predictable yet, not predictable yet. So now the next question is, how do we know what is predictable, what is not, what are the question we need to ask before you press buy, right? Versus listening to an analyst and so on. So I just want to share with you something very important, right? Now, I'm not very sure out of the 100 people who are watching this, how many of you are our grads, how many of you are not our grads. So it's always important for us to acquire a set of skills. Yeah, so that before you press buy, which is your hard-earned money, you better know what you're doing. Yeah, so on the 1st of November, you can see the link over there. And then on the 8th of November, so these 2 dates are very close. It's Tuesday and Tuesday, right? Just to let you know that we are running an on-site class. Here we are running like a webinar, right? Via YouTube Live, we are running on-site class, which goes from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. 30 minutes is quite hard for Hillary to give you very detailed, so we need to give you a structure. Yep. So let me share with you what will you get first, right? Before we talk about what will we cover. Just to let you know that 1st November, I think we only have a few seats left, and then my space over here is also not very big. So these are the seats that's available for people who are watching this and you are not our graduate. But if you are our graduate and you know your friends, your spouse, or whoever that may come, right, you can choose to come either on the 1st of November or 8th of November, and then the link has already been posted in the chat. So you cannot see the link, I can just refresh your YouTube again, right? Now, so I'm going to waive all this $8 per ticket. Previously, we used to charge $8 per ticket so that people take this seriously, but we're going to waive off so that we can share more knowledge with more people, right? Yeah. So at the end of the session, that means you sit through and you learn something. Hey, I think all makes sense, sit through, right? At the end of the session, because you invested time, so we're going to further so-called be part of a lifelong journey by giving you one of our investment reference book, which is a national bestseller. And it's a hard copy and not an ebook, and it's worth $33. So it's really a hard copy, right? And then not only that, while you're learning investing, reading the book, we also pass you, right, a prepaid Starbucks gift card. Prepaid, that means inside there's actually $10, right? So you can use this card to buy anything. So inside the stock value $10. So we paid Starbucks $10 to have this, right? Yeah. So this for you, if you come. Yeah. And if you bring your friend, friend A, friend B, right? Your friend also get what you have obtained, which is this book, and which is also this $10 Starbucks gift card. And then not only that for you, because you brought your friend, you make an effort, we're going to pass you $20 of NTUC voucher so that your next grocery shopping is on us. And right now got this movie called Black Adam, right? We are going to pass you $20 of movie voucher. But of course, this movie voucher, you can watch any movies that you like. So in total will be $43 over here. Yeah. And then if you bring your friend really comes, so there's additional $40, right? Yeah, so actually the tangible value is 83. Yeah, plus of course the most important thing is the knowledge that you're going to get, because the knowledge is going to far supersede the $83, right? Yeah, and then upon registration, when you come, right, upon registration, you sign off your name over here. We also pass you a hard copy manual on how you can get started, right, on investing in STI and ETF, exchange traded funds, and another one is S&P 500. Yeah, S&P 500, by the way, is a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, which is highly recommended by Warren Buffett. Yeah, the best part is you can get started on investing using a mere $100 per month, and we also pass you a manual. Whether you want to do it is okay, but by giving you the manual, I think you save quite a couple of hours of your life trying to figure out. Yeah, so we pass you these two manual upon registration. You physically come register, right? You get these two manual, and then in between, what are things that you're going to learn, right? Now, as of this point, I think there are a couple of worries for general investors. One of the worry, right, is if you have stocks right now. For example, right now you got some stocks, whatever stocks that you have. Yeah, and then right now it's a bear market, So right now share price are quite depressed. So the common question that I get is, right now share price is depressed. What should I do? Should I buy more? Should I hold? Should I cut loss? That's for people who have stocks. Then another question, right, that people will ask is people who have no stocks. They got zero experience. Yeah, so is this an opportunity and so on? Now, just to let you know that a bear market, right, do not take place very often, and on average, right, it takes place once every 8 to 10 years. 8 to 10 years. So what does it mean? A bear, that means the price is on the low side. So in other words, if you do not get a chance to buy something when it's low, right, then you will never get a chance to sell when it's high, which is bull run. So in other words, bear, right? Bear market is actually opportunity, but it's easier said than done, because when we say it's a bear is opportunity, then you still have to know, is it? Yeah, like, I mean bear market, yeah. So what to do, right? Yeah, should I buy Sept? Should I buy SIA? Should I buy something else? Which is why these 2 dates are very important, because you will learn, right, a set of skills on how to generate 3 sources of passive income, even if you know nothing about investing. Yeah, by investing in good companies during the bear market, not anyhow get share price. We don't trade, right? And of course, second thing is learn how to invest in minimal capital. One of the common question is what's the minimal capital? I think the minimal capital you need will be maybe bigger or $1,000. Yeah, I think it can be Sing, it can be US, it doesn't matter, but I think minimum it has to be this. If you don't have $1,000, I think it's quite difficult to get started. Yeah, but the S&P 500 you can get started on a monthly basis $100, $100. Yeah, so minimal capital. And also during the class, you learn how to create a cash dispensing machine. This is like analogy, right, where Buffett used a method where he sell options to collect regular premium. And just to let you know that these 3 training materials and training knowledge that is combined, you will be able to beat the current high inflation of 5.1%. So in ours, if we do not acquire more knowledge, I think it's going to be very difficult moving forward. And I think previously, if I'm not wrong, I read the article somewhere, most likely the high inflation is going to roll over to next year. Yeah, right now we are already at what, October coming to November already. I don't think after November, December, suddenly the 5.1% become 1%. I don't think it's going to take place. And then US even worse. US, I think it's like 8+%. And their optimum inflation is actually 2+%. Yeah, so they have increased their interest rate, I think, by 2-3 times. Yeah, there is no sign that this 8+% is going to 2. Yeah, and for US, it's already 2 consecutive quarters of declining of GDP, right? Yeah, general definition is actually inflation, not inflation, it's actually recession. Yeah, recession, So it's the best time, yeah, for us to gain the knowledge, And of course, Jason is actually one of our grad for maybe about 5-6 years, And then just about a month ago, when he attended one of the class, he left a review on Google. Yeah, Google review. It's a very short, but very powerful, funny review. Right? He said he went to many investment courses. This is the only one that make money. Yeah, I think that single sentence really meant a lot to us because right now a lot of things are very scammy, right? Get rich quick scheme, all this. So have to be very careful, So if you look at what Hillary has analyzed, it's not like how should I say? It's a hype. Everything is very analytical, right? Yep. So remember, the masterclass will only take place on the 1st November. In November, if you cannot see the link over there, just refresh. Click on any link. Just take you 10 seconds, right, to fill out information. And just now I shared, these are some of the things that I'm going to pass it to you. And if you bring a friend, we're going to give you $20 NTUC voucher plus the $20 of movie voucher. Okay. So today is quite short, Yeah. But even though it's quite short, actually it's an hour already. Okay, half a movie, right? Yeah. So I'm going to end my end hour deep dive today. And then the next one, I think we're going to talk about Tesla. Yeah, the next deep dive, we're going to talk about Tesla. And it's quite interesting. Like Elon Musk is really a very interesting person, right? And I think, is it yesterday or today? He actually carry a basin, right? Carry a sink, really a physical ceramic sink. And then he walk into Twitter, right? And then, of course, that represents, he said, let that sink in, if you get the joke. Let that sink in. Because I think more or less it's confirmed that he's going to acquire Twitter. Let's see what happens. But that will take place in our next deep dive where we talk about Tesla and maybe about Elon Musk and his sink in. So with that, the Eventbrite is there. Please feel free to click on the link, sign up, and if you have any question, please feel free to leave any of our questions in our chat. Oh, by the way, before you go off, this is the last slide, no more. Yeah. Now, before you go off, right, can you just do us a favor? You know the video has this thumbs up, right? Yeah. If you don't mind, can you just help us, before you go off, can you just help us press this thumbs up? So at least our analytics looks good, and our ego get boosted. Yeah. Yeah. So even though it's just help us do a thumbs up, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's all for tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, I think have a good weekend. Tomorrow is Friday. Yeah, Friday. So please feel free to share this video. If your friends and so on, if they're talking about SES, if you're talking about SIA, and at our channel, right, there's also plenty of videos. And just to let you know, that Tesla is also not not the first time we have shared. Previously, we have done a deep dive on Tesla, and then this time around, I think it's more about update. Okay, so I let my colleague maybe put a 3 minutes timer, right? Yeah, he'll put 3 minutes. After that, we'll officially end our YouTube live. Now, if you have any question, please feel free to post your question in this chat over here. Yeah, if you have any questions. If not, remember, refresh, help us do a thumbs up before you knock off for the night. Click on the Eventbrite, just fill in the information so that we'll see you in our next masterclass. Yeah, so remember, the bear market is a good time for us to invest. Yeah, I think the only thing we may be short of is money only. Yeah, because there's just too many things to buy. And then, of course, you must know what to buy. Okay? So with that, 3 minutes counting down, it should be 2 minutes plus already. If you have any question, please feel free to post your question in the chat below. And then in about maybe 2 minutes time, we will end off today. So this time around, our deep dive is very short. Okay, so Angeline, thanks, right? You have a good rest and enjoy your Friday tomorrow. And then it's going to be weekend. Yeah. Yeah, so any other things that you want to ask? So right now, we got 20 thumbs up. Yeah, can more of you press the thumbs up if you don't mind? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before? Here we have about 4 of our teammates, including myself. Yeah. Okay. Any other things that you want to ask? If not, maybe I chit chat to. Otherwise, quite awkward, right? The timer counting down and then so quiet. Nobody asks anything. Yeah, so maybe I just chit chat with you. This afternoon, actually I went to MediaCorp. Right now they have a shifted office. Previously, I think they were at some ulu place, right? Somewhere at the bottom. Oh yeah, there's a spam, right? Yeah, there's a spam. You can see. Yeah, you see right now, best adult dating site. You see. Yeah. Sometimes I don't understand why people want to do such a thing, right? I mean, if your site is so good, you do YouTube ads, huh? Yeah, you go to other people's YouTube live and then post it. And then obviously people will delete it, right? I mean, why are people so silly, right? Yeah. So anyway, I was sharing that this afternoon I went to MediaCorp. MediaCorp's office has been shifted to somewhere near Alexandra site, right? It's a very nice building, warehouse. So I went over there for a live interview. It's supposed to be via StreamYard, which is like a Zoom, right? I'm here and then they were there. Yeah, but after that, the MC wanted to talk to me, so she asked me to go over there. So this afternoon, I went over there for interview, and then it's been a long while that I entered the studio. Previously, I maybe interviewed a couple of times, so the studio, it all looks the same, but the MC is only one person, so she's one and I'm one, and then we started to interview. And then even though she's an MC, she has to maneuver quite a number of equipments. But the most interesting thing that I want to talk about, right, about this afternoon's episode, right, is ever since the pandemic came, a lot of things has changed. Yeah, in the early days, for any radio interview, I have to physically go. That there is no such thing as online, you online. Yeah, but right now we can do so-called online. And radio is radio, right? You only hear voices, audio. But this time around, when we went over there, they do Facebook Live. Yeah, so there was one microphone in front of me, and then there's a camera in front of me. So I think the pandemic could be a problem for companies such as Sept and SIA, but it could present opportunities for things that they are predominantly online. Yeah. Is the assessment of SIA engineering similar at SIA? Oh, it's different, right? Vincent, SIA engineering and Sept, they are, and SIA, they are different companies. Maybe I stop share, right? I just show you SIA engineering. There are different ticker symbol. Yeah, so I just need my colleague to go to the website. Yeah, so how do you know what's the difference, right? Like, for example, you want to know SIA engineering. I just type SIA engineering, which is why it's important for you to know the differences, right? But it's a great question. So, for example, you see I can select here, right? I select SIA engineering share price. So if I click on it, do you realize that SIA engineering share price, the ticker symbol is S59? So in other words, this SIA engineering is totally different from SIA. Yeah, and it's totally different from Sept. Yeah, so don't mix up, Yeah, don't mix up. And whether, let's say, SIA engineering will do better than Sept or do better than SIA, this one further investigation is required. Yeah, maybe after Tesla we can do SIA engineering. Maybe we can think this through. Okay, so back to Vincent's question. Remember, it's different, right? It's different. They're different entity. It's like A is A, B is B, right? Apple and orange. Okay, great question. I think the time is up already, right? Yeah, time is up, right? Yeah. So we are going off now. By the way, after you've gone off, if you have any question or some of the companies that are interested, you can still post in the chat. Yeah, so that we can still see. And yep, the two links is over there in terms of the going on the share prices. Vincent, I'm not very sure about your question. Yeah, in terms of the going on the share price, I'm not very sure. What do you mean? Do you mean are the share price moving the same? But because we are not share price predictor, so we're not very sure. But I think if you look at the thing over here, I can show you lah. Like, you know, I can show you the share price. Let's say for the past 1 year, right? Yeah. So you see, past 1 year, the share price did. Past 5 years, cyclical. So this period, this period is the pandemic, right? Yeah, pandemic. Actually, not only SIA lah. I think all other companies during this period is also down. Yeah, but overall it goes up, then here it goes down. So as of this point, until upon further investigation, right, we do not know why the share price of SIA engineering goes down. Yeah. Is gold relevant to VIA? But I don't invest in gold, so it's outside my circle of competence. It's something that I'm not familiar. This one maybe you must ask Robert Kiyosaki. He really like gold, but so in other words, your question, no, it's not relevant for us. Yeah, because I only want to buy something that produce cash, and gold, NFTs, crypto, they don't produce cash. Yeah, it's preference. Doesn't mean that anybody is right or wrong. Right? Okay, great question. So Vincent, that is the answer already. Any other question? If not, we're going to end in the next 5 seconds, right? Yeah, we will consider through this SIA engineering after Tesla. Okay, got it? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So ladies and gentlemen, again, thanks for joining our deep dive series. Just take note, we are VIA, and our mission, right, is really we care to make you a better investor. So have a good Friday and a good weekend, and I shall see you in our next deep dive where we're going to talk about Tesla and Elon Musk sink in. Okay, goodbye.